Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to I
I
Will
will
Say
say
This
this
Though.
though. We're trying something a little different this time because if you at home have been following my Choose Your Own Adventure series or my social media, you know that I no longer live in Toronto. So this is our first remotely recorded episode from different locations.
Yes, Danny decided to move to Alberta, which will hopefully remain in Canada for at least another couple years.
Hopefully, I don't get
Um,
deported or shot.
yeah, yeah. So Alberta's trying to do what Quebec did in the 90s. This isn't relevant to what we're talking
You mean
about.
fail to separate? Yes, that is what they're doing. It's not going to happen.
Like as soon as Danny moved to Alberta, they decide to, hey, let's leave Canada. I thought that's funny.
Well, they got all they wanted, me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, we have Danny. We don't need anything else from Canada. Anyways, yeah. So Danny and I are no longer in the same city, so we're going to be recording. I will say this though, episodes from over Zoom. So we decided that for our first remote episode, we were going to do a topic that neither of us are particularly passionate about. So that way, if the audio or visuals are like messed up or whatever, it doesn't really matter.
What a great way to get people excited for the video. Here we're
Yeah,
going to
I know.
share our opinions that we don't really care about.
Here's our opinions that we don't care about. Because, here's the thing: I'm like a casual basketball fan.
I will watch
Like,
basketball if the Raptors are doing really well, and
yeah, which
only then.
they were kind of mediocre. They the first round exit this year.
So I have not
I
watched basketball since 2019.
yes, I will say this though: I am very excited for the Spurs versus Thunder Game 7 that's going to happen in literally 3 hours. So like as soon as we finish recording this, I'm putting on the TV to see OKC versus Spurs.
And you
Um,
guys watching it will already know how it ended.
that is true.
End of the
I'm
service.
like SGA is from Toronto, but I'm still rooting for the Spurs because I'm pro parity league. So parity era. So with the parity era, since 2019 when Raptors won, every year since then a different team has won the championship, and I want it to continue. So I don't want OKC to repeat. I want a new person. So I want Spurs to win, so that way the finals will be Spurs versus Knicks, so the parity era of NBA continues. That's my opinion. And I'm
Wouldn't the
assuming
parody
Danny
era
has
be if Weird Al were playing in the
yeah,
games?
exactly. Exactly. Weird Al is playing. But yeah, I'm assuming Danny has no opinion whatsoever about Spurs versus Thunder.
My opinion is parody's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no strong opinion about basketball right now, but that's okay because we're not actually talking about how much we like the teams, how much we think they're going to win, how much we want them to win. Instead, we are in true this channel style, ranking them on criteria that no one could possibly care about their names. Jimmy, you want to
Correct. But
explain the premise of the video?
yes, so we're not ranking them based on how much we like their names. We're ranking them, it's not even a ranking, it's a bracket. We're going to have them face off based on what their names literally mean. And I'll explain what it means. So, for example, the first one in the top left corner is the Atlanta Hawks versus the Brooklyn Nets. So, we are going to imagine
In a fight
five
between a hawk and a
Hawks.
net, who would win?
Yeah, not a Hawk, not a net, because it's basketball, right? So, we're going to assume 5 Hawks versus
Okay.
5 Nets in a basketball arena, who comes out on top. So one team defeats the other by rendering them inactive, I guess, or breaking them down, which is going to be very interesting for some of these, which are already inanimate objects, but we'll get to that.
Yep.
And before we move on, I'll just clarify one thing. Some of these are like concepts, such as heat or magic. So how are we going to do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to add an agency indicating suffix to them. So heat becomes heater, and magic becomes magician.
Which
So we're
is
going to talk
weird
about
because I believe the very first bracket has the magicians against the wizards.
uh, probably something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here
it's
they
probably
are.
down there. Oh yeah. So that's where we're going to be. So that's just sort of clarifying that before
Jazz
we
would
go
be
on.
jazz
Yeah,
musicians.
yeah.
But
And
we'll get
jazz
to
will be
that.
jazz musicians. But we're going to start at the top. We're going to start at the top.
All right.
So
Hawks versus Nets.
Hawks versus Nets. And Danny,
Now,
since you have the mouse, you have veto power. But I
ultimately,
think
yes.
this
Now,
it's
I believe I've seen birds of prey. I'm thinking specifically of a video I saw of an owl. They can very easily get stuck in nets. They don't really have the spatial awareness to navigate their way out of them, and with all those big sharp talons, they can easily get snagged. So I think the nets would win.
Wait, sorry. Before we select one, let's be very, because it's hard to this website's kind of difficult to like undo decisions. But do you not think that yes, a hawk could get snagged in a net, and let's say the timer is because like an NBA game is what, like 48 minutes. Do you think within 48 minutes a hawk snagged in a net could claw its way out?
I'm inclined to say no,
Really?
because they're not very smart animals. They have great
Interesting.
eyesight, they can move really fast, but it depends what the net is made of.
Let's say a basketball net, because why not?
Okay. If it's just a basketball net, then maybe, because basketball nets aren't that big.
Right.
Now the nets also have a huge advantage that once they get the ball, they can just put it through themselves and score.
Oh
a
no,
point.
no. But they're not playing basketball. They're just fighting each other.
Oh, I see.
Because, yeah. So it's like if in a fight between 5 basketball nets and 5 hawks, who would come out on top? Would the hawks get captured and then like starve to death?
If it's
In
just
the
a
net.
regular basketball net, then I could honestly see it going maybe either way. I think the Hawks might be able to escape from the nets,
But they wouldn't. They
and
wouldn't be
possibly
smart
shred
enough-
them with their claws.
But you don't think you're not confident that the hawks would be smart enough to shred the nets, therefore rendering them broken.
I could see them just getting tangled up.
Okay. Sounds
Now,
like we have a nets. Sounds like we're going nets for this
I
matchup.
think nets.
Okay, yeah, let's go nets. Yeah.
All
Nets.
right.
Next,
The
let's
Nets will
jump
move on
over
to the next round.
Yeah, let's jump
Meanwhile,
to the over there, the right side. Let's just do this. Let's do a zigzag.
All right.
So you might notice I tried to put all the humans in the right side because I think they're more interesting to talk about than
So
like
you did.
humans versus bulls or something. So Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks. Now, Knicks is short for Knickerbocker, which is a nickname given to Dutch people, I think.
Yeah, it was like wealthy, upper middle class, or maybe even almost aristocracy, essentially, Dutch American rich people. Whereas I'm inclined to give this to the Celtics because Irish Americans historically have been, especially in like the Boston area, these are people who come over from the old world without a ton of money. These are rough and tumble working class guys. I'm thinking of like the Fightin' Irish logo, which
Right.
obviously they're a different sport and different league. They're not here, but I think some pasty upper middle class butter-fed Dutchman is not going to be able to go 3 rounds with a hard
4
ass
quarters.
blunt nosed Dogan.
That is correct. I agree. So I think Celtics takes this one.
And I'm allowed to say that word.
Okay, now back to the left conference. We have 5 Bulls versus 5 Hornets.
If we're not thinking about actual basketball skill, that takes away a major disadvantage the Hornets had, which is that they would not be able to lift the ball. But that's not a factor here. I still am going to incline to give it to the Bulls.
Yeah, because
It is true that they might not be able to catch all of the Hornets and kill them by the time the clock runs out, but I don't think these Hornets are going to be able to bring down a single Bull.
yeah, I think like the Bulls could like hit one because they have tails made specifically for swatting flies, right?
Yeah, that's a fly swatter. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say made
so-
specifically. That sounds a little intelligent designy, but that is their evolutionary
Okay,
function.
but yeah. I'm gonna go Bulls too because yeah, sure, the Hornets can fly, but I don't think and then they might sting the Bulls. But also when they sting, don't they die?
No, that's
Or no,
bees. Hornets
that's
can
bee-
keep going.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually changes things. I mean, I think ultimately the Hornets are going to take more damage within 4 quarters than the Bulls. So yeah, I would say
Yep.
Bulls. Now back to the other side, we have Cavaliers versus Kings.
Now,
the
if there were
Ki-
a team called the Roundheads, this would be really interesting. But there isn't. So, obviously, a king would order around the Cavaliers. But if the Cavaliers decide they've had enough of the king's shit, like guy for guy, I would give a knight the advantage over some inbred Habsburg-jawed monarch who is
These the
probably
Cavaliers-
dying of gout and fed on too much lamprey.
Because Cavaliers specifically refers to followers of King Charles I, right?
Not exclusively in a, if it were Cavaliers versus Roundheads, then I would say so. But a Cavalier, it just literally means horseman or knight. You know, you can see it
Okay,
in the
but
French chevalier or the Spanish caballero.
but
It's,
either way, they are followers of the king. So the fact that so this is like an upright, this is like a mutiny we're
I
describing.
suppose it would be. I'm thinking of something like the Barons' War, when all the
But
barons rise up and tell King John that he has to sign Magna Carta or they'll kill him.
yeah, but definitely the Cavaliers would win because they have like fighting experience over the
And they are
royalty.
also
Yeah.
explicitly mounted on horseback. And the king might have a horse. He probably does have a horse somewhere, but he isn't necessarily on it right now. And the Cavaliers,
Okay.
I think it is heavily implied that they are.
Right. Okay, yeah, so Cavaliers would win this one. Yeah.
All right.
Next we have Miami Heat, aka Five Heaters, versus the Detroit Pistons. So a piston is like a car part, right?
Yeah, I could see if a piston was properly set up, it could break the heater, but
Yeah, okay, so this is the sort of trouble I was thinking. I'm thinking like for the ones that are machines, we're going to assume that they are capable of moving on their own. Like they have some sort of like AI or maybe they're like remote controlled. They're capable of doing what it is that they are set up to do without like a person like physically there.
yeah, they've got a pair of
But
big cartoony Banjo-Kazooie character eyes, and they're
yeah,
alive.
but they're not like for example like unless they have wheels, they're not going to be like moving around.
Yeah,
So here's my and I'm
a
going to
heater
say that
might
they're
be on wheels if it's like a space heater.
Yeah, but like I'm gonna say like they start into positions of where basketball players would start, but if they can't move, they can't move.
Okay.
So how I feel like in that case, the Pistons would be like they might be able to like vibrate themselves towards the Heaters, but then I
Yeah.
think ultimately the Heaters, even if they don't move, they have the advantage of being able to affect the Pistons
They could make the
by
pistons overheat.
yeah, by changing the heat in the environment. You know, they can change the environment. So
Yeah.
because of that, I would give it to five Miami Heaters.
That was my thought as well.
Yeah,
All right,
because
let's
they
go
can
with that.
affect the environment more. Yeah. Next, we have Warriors versus Mavericks. Now, to be clear, the Mavericks, their logo has a horse, but they are not actually. That is not what the Mavericks is referring to. Mavericks is referred to like, like you know, someone who is a rebel or something.
Yeah, and my first thought is this goes to the Warriors who are explicitly good at fighting.
Yeah, I
The
think because like
Mavericks
Mavericks,
might be.
sure, you take risks, but like that doesn't mean you're good at fighting.
You're dangerous, Maverick. That's right,
Yeah,
Iceman. I am dangerous. I've never seen Top Gun.
yeah, this would be Warriors. Yeah.
Oh, that raised the question. Do the Mavericks get jet planes? Do they get fighter planes?
Oh, that's a good. No, I don't, because I don't
No.
think Mavericks is specifically named after the
No.
Mavericks from.
It just
Yeah,
means like a guy who plays by his own rules.
yeah. So yeah, the Warriors.
Yeah.
Because five Mavericks, they're not even like
They're not going to work as a
insane.
team.
Yeah, they're not going to work as a team. They're all going doing their own stuff. They're not like five like trained warriors who have a fight plan. Yeah, they're beating five random Mavericks doing their own like chaotic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100% Warriors win. Yeah.
Depending on factors outside of our purview here, they may well be trained in all kinds of military formations, like a
Yeah.
bunch of Roman soldiers or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely. Warriors win this 100%.
I think so.
So next we have Clippers versus Pelicans. Now a Clipper is a
Like a ship?
sailboat, a fast sailboat.
Yeah, which obviously has a size advantage on a Pelican.
However, remember, all these fights are taking place in a basketball arena.
Okay, so
I
this
think Pelicans wins.
I think they do if they have the determination because the Clippers can't move.
Even if they are in water, because in water, I think the Pelicans would have the advantage because a Clipper is just a sailboat. Like it's not like a battleship.
Yeah,
So the
and-
Pelicans could just fly down and like rip through the.
If they have the determination, they
Sails.
could punch holes in the sails.
That's true. Yeah.
It would be hard, but they could do it.
And then back to the other side, we have Lakers versus Trailblazers. Now, a Laker is just a person who lives by a lake, like they're associated with
I
lakes.
think it would refer to a sailor whose boat is on a lake, like Great Lake shipping, or
Right.
are like I guess the lakes around Los Angeles, like Silver Lake. I don't really know that area
Well,
very well.
well, the Lakers were originally Minneapolis.
That makes a lot
The
more sense.
Minneapolis Lakers. So they actually had lakes in the area, and then they moved to LA for some reason.
Which has a few small lakes, but
Yeah, which is weird.
it's one of
but
these
also,
cases
so
where they
Trail-
really ought to rename the team. But the
Yeah.
first two letters of Lakers is L and A, so
Yeah. But then we have the trailblazers. So their job, they're people who burn trails in forests, I'm assuming. That's
Yeah,
like
they
what they do.
not probably not literally burn a trail, but they seem a lot more rugged. Now, if they're, I guess, does Lakers refer just to people who live near a lake or people who live on the lake as sailors? Because those guys are pretty tough and hardened.
Yeah. Okay. So before we move on, I just want to say, a trailblazer refers to the literal practice of hacking through a forest or wilderness and leaving marks or blazes on trees to create a path for those behind. So not fire. We're not talking about fire, but they do
Maybe
have like
small
machetes.
amounts of fire and controlled, because it said leaving
Yeah.
blazes, so.
No, but blazes doesn't mean fire. It means like a marking on a tree to like
Oh.
indicate. So they have
Okay.
like they have machetes
Yeah, these are
versus Lakers.
hardened, outdoorsy kind of guys.
Yeah, I think because it's taking place in an arena, we have to give it to Trailblazers because
They
they're
have the
more
advantage on
intelligent.
land.
Okay, and now we're gonna go back to the right, no, to the left side. We're gonna do 5 grizzly bears versus 5 timberwolves fighting each other in a basketball court.
This feels like a no-brainer to me because the main advantage wolves have over grizzlies is numbers, and we have explicitly equalized that. So it's got to be the grizzlies, right?
Yeah, I don't think the Timberwolves even get. I mean, if this was like, they might like injure one grizzly and it might die of infection, but I think overall,
Yeah.
yeah, it is going to result in a lopsided Grizzlies victory.
Wolves would probably work better as a team than the grizzlies, but like, come on, one-on-one.
Yeah, like that's not necessarily like that doesn't matter. Like sometimes Goliath beats the shit out of David.
I think most of the time Goliath beats the shit
Yeah,
out of David. That's
honestly,
why
yeah,
it's
in real
notable
life.
in the Bible that he doesn't that time.
Um, okay, back to the right hand side 76ers versus Rockets. So the reason I put these two together is because the idea of someone from 1776 witnessing a rocket is so funny to me.
Well, like in the song there, the American anthem, there's the line about the
Oh.
rocket's red glare.
Right.
So I mean,
But
they're
that's
talking
not
about very primitive rockets. They don't mean like Apollo 11.
but that's not when was the Star Spangled Banner even written? Star Spangled.
Um, I
I'm gonna look
believe
this
that's
up.
about the War of 1812.
Yeah, like what type of rockets were we talking about? Like they're talking about gunpowder, right? Like
Yeah, like it's basically like a firecracker almost. Rockets
okay.
were often used as artillery around that time. They weren't very effective weapons, but they were just good at scaring the other guy's troops.
So here's
Now,
the thing though.
where are the rockets based?
Houston, and the reason they're called Houston Rockets is because they were doing like NASA shit there, right?
Yeah, so I think that does imply we're talking about rocket ships.
Yeah, because they were founded in like '67 when they were during the space race.
Yeah.
So I think this is
that I think the Rockets win this one.
yeah, like 5 rockets. Yeah, like the exhaust by itself is gonna like kill all this.
Oh my
like,
goodness.
listen,
It's also going
Like-
to kill all the rockets because you
Yeah.
can't launch them that close together. But the rockets will be destroyed slightly after all of these Revolutionary War soldiers are killed.
yeah. Also, okay. So to be clear, I am looking in the Wikipedia page. I was kind of wrong. It is not named after NASA rockets. However, it is named after like missiles and stuff, like the Atlas missile and booster rocket program. So it is. It's not like the sort of rockets that.
I mean, the logo is a rocket ship.
Yeah, but this was like after. It originally was founded in San Diego.
Oh.
But either way, like fucking 5 revolutionary soldiers are
Yeah.
are shitting their pants and dying immediately.
Yeah,
like
good.
what the fuck is this?
Fucking traitors.
Traitors to the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one I was trying to think about this, and I really don't know what the answer is. Thunder versus Bucks. So 5 thunderclaps happening in like an indoor location of a basketball court. Would it kill the Bucks that are in there if they're happening?
No,
like,
it would scare them out of their minds.
But
but
to
it
be
wouldn't
clear,
kill them.
the thunderclaps. It's not like the thunder you hear from far away. It's right there, happening in that enclosed area.
It is
'Cause it's gonna-
possible to die of sound.
That's true. Like it's breaking the windows at least. There's gonna be broken glass.
There's like a Peter Wimsey novel where a guy, these are like old British whodunit novels, and the guy is locked inside of the bell tower of the church, and the bells, they're these like huge, spectacular bells, and they every year for one day, the bells sound all day, and the guy is locked up in there, and it kills him.
Right, yeah. But we're talking specifically 5 thunderclaps. Do you think 5 thunderclaps could kill 5 male deer?
Man, I ain't a physicist. I ain't an acoustician. I'm inclined to say no.
No, yeah. I
Without
think it might,
lightning, if it's just the sound,
no, just the sound, yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think they might like it might deafen them, but I think they survive ultimately.
All right.
Yeah, the Bucks. Um, okay, magicians versus wizards. So wizard implies they real magic.
Yes. Magician implies illusion, implies top hat and wand. Wizards implies fucking Gandalf.
Yeah, I think wizards wins easily. I think wizards
Yeah.
makes a fool out of magicians. Cool. So back here, Spurs versus Pacers. Now a pacer, I just want to clarify what a pacer
Yeah, I
is
was
a
wondering.
racehorse.
A racehorse. Okay.
Yeah, they were named after it's a type of racehorse.
Well,
think.
then that is an interesting combination you've created.
Yeah, Spurs. I think racehorse would like love the chance to get revenge on Spurs.
Yes, and the Spurs in this case have the disadvantage of not being already put on the horse.
Yeah, so I think that the horses are going to kick the shit out of the Spurs.
Yeah, because Spurs can't move on their own.
Yeah, and a pacer is a horse with a natural genetic ability to move both legs on the same side of its body together.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I just noticed the Suns are here, and I think they're gonna win this whole thing. But
Well,
we'll see.
we'll get there. We'll
We'll
get
get
there.
there.
So I wanted to even up the two conferences, so I put one on. I put one on. Instead of putting them together, I put one on each side.
Yeah.
So the Toronto Raptors versus Utah Jazz. So I put them together because Danny, you always have this thing about the Raptors.
The Toronto
and-
Raptors should move to Utah because then the name would make sense. The Utah.
Yeah,
Raptors.
because there are way more Raptors in Utah than there are in Toronto. The Toronto Raptors were named that because Jurassic Park was
Yeah, it was
a
very big
popular
at the time.
movie.
So the thing about dinosaurs in the eastern part of North America is we have found very few fossils because it doesn't. It's just not the right conditions for fossilization.
Yeah.
The best North American fossils mostly come from Alberta. They come from Colorado. They come from Utah. There are, they find fossils of like dinosaur fossils in like Oklahoma and Arkansas and places sometimes, but it's not as common. Also, we must remember that North America was cut in half by the Western Interior Seaway. So the
Right.
wildlife of the western part of that, what was called Laramidia, is not necessarily at all similar to what you're going to find on the eastern part, which is Appalachia. T-Rex lived in Laramidia and probably nowhere else. There were tyrannosaurids in Asia, and there's a creature called Appalachosaurus that seems to have been the biggest carnivore of the late Cretaceous on the Appalachian continent. And I think it was a tyrannosaurid, but it was not on T-Rex's level. And all of this is preamble to say I don't know if there were any dromaeosaurids in Appalachia, because we're trying to figure out when we say raptors, do we mean the Jurassic Park type raptors, which are actually Deinonychus, or do we mean actual Velociraptor, which was very small and lived in Mongolia? And I'm inclined to say that we are referring at least to the Laramidian raptors like Deinonychus and Dromaeosaurus, simply because, well, you probably couldn't find them in Toronto, or at least what's now Toronto. You could at least find them in what's now Canada. And that is closer to what the creature in the movie is.
Danny, I have a follow-up question for you.
Yes.
Do you like jazz?
I do, but so in the book Jurassic Park, Gennaro, the character who is ignominiously eaten on the toilet by the T-Rex in the movie, he actually survives the book. It's a different guy named Ed Regis who's not in the movie. In the book, he's the guy who gets eaten by the T-Rex on the toilet. Gennaro gets into a fight with a raptor and wins. He punches it in the head and knocks it out.
But here's the thing: do you think
Survive.
5 jazz musicians, like a jazz, I don't know how many people are in a jazz band. And it's funny because
depends on the size of the
there's
band.
probably more jazz in Toronto than Utah. Really, they should just switch.
Are we talking big band, or are we talking like a smaller jazz ensemble, like cool
Well, 5.
jazz?
There has to be 5 of them.
Yeah.
So I
Because,
don't
like,
know.
if these are classic jazz guys, they're hardened with heroin and probably go out and get into fights at night. But if these are
That's a good point.
today's jazz musicians, these are a bunch of white guy hipsters who
That's true.
really think that jazz is really cool.
Well, since it's Utah, I guess we have to go with the white guy hipsters because
Yeah, oh man. Not only do they not do, these are not a bunch of heroin hard and tough guys, these are a bunch of guys who aren't even
Mormons.
allowed caffeine or alcohol.
So you
So,
have Raptors, but here's the
either
other thing
way, I
though.
give the Raptors the advantage.
But like Raptors, aren't they like the size of chickens?
A velociraptor, the actual Velociraptor mongoliensis, was bigger than a chicken. I'd say it's maybe the size of a coyote. They were
Yeah.
about 6 feet long. Most of that's tail. It would probably come up to about waist height. Actually, no, a little lower than waist height.
Okay.
But
That's
I'm
still
saying that because they're named after the Raptors in the movie, and because they're a Canadian team, I'm inclined to assume it's more like a Deinonychus, which is a much bigger animal, not as big as
I
a Utah
see.
raptor, still not as big as the things in the movies, but these guys, I would not want to go toe to toe with a Deinonychus.
Especially if you're like a hipster white guy from Utah who really likes jazz. Okay, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. You've sold me. Yeah, Raptors win.
All right,
Raptors win. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the top.
round two.
Bulls versus Nets. Now, a bull can easily get out. I mean, a bull you could throw a basketball net on a bull and it wouldn't even notice, right?
Yeah,
It
I don't
would
think
just
they
be like,
need to get out of the nets.
yeah,
They'll just keep going on with their day. So that seems pretty straightforward to me.
yeah, easy. Okay, so now Celtics versus Cavaliers. Um,
Well,
well, Cavaliers.
Ireland did eventually get out of the United Kingdom. It took a while.
Oh, that's actually true. Yeah. Oh my God, you're right. This is like an actual.
That said,
Where?
I mean, the Cavaliers lost to the Roundheads. The Roundheads, after the English Civil War, did some very mean things in Ireland and killed a lot of people. And, Ireland has always militarily been a lesser power than England, let's be real. But we did eventually, Michael Collins, they did eventually get out.
See, I
Less
didn't even
through
notice that when
military
I was.
power and more through stubbornness and bombs.
I didn't even notice that that's what I was setting up for. It was like a Irish independence rematch here with
Yeah,
Celtics
basically.
versus Cavaliers. That's really
And
funny.
also the by the time of the War of Irish Independence, while it is true that the Puritans are well out and the crown is back in place, I don't know where I'm going with this. The guys who beat the Cavaliers in the war are and also did some atrocities in Ireland, Cromwell and them, they're fully out of it by this point because everyone hated them. Once they
Yeah.
came to power, everyone realized, oh, this sucks.
Okay, no, that's a very convincing argument. Yeah, Celtics.
Yeah.
So next we're gonna do heaters, 5 heaters versus 5 Pelicans.
I think the Pelicans would probably unplug the heaters.
Well, but they're not. How I don't know about that. Like, I don't think there's like I can see Pelicans ripping apart a sail. I can't see them being
Yeah.
smart to unplug. Also, when they get near the heaters, I think it's gonna burn them, right?
Well,
'Cause the heaters
a
are-
pelican is a bird that is pretty well suited to high temperatures. Like they live in tropical regions.
Yeah, but if you imagine like a radiator or something, like it's like
Yeah.
it burns to the touch.
Yeah, but if you go for the power cord, if you can just unplug it,
Yeah, but do we think the Pelicans are smart enough to do that?
we've established that they're smart enough to punch holes through the sails. I mean, realistically, they just sit on the boats and poop everywhere.
No, but I'm saying like there's a difference between attacking like I can attacking a sail that you can see and understanding the concept of electricity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
I would go heaters because I think it's hard. It would be hard for the Pelicans to like find a way of attacking them without doing damage to themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Next, we have Warriors versus Trailblazers. So people like train to fight versus a bunch of people who are like, let's explore the wilderness.
Yeah, the Trailblazers are probably pretty tough and resourceful, but in an open fight, in I'm going to put this in Dungeons and Dragons terms, when a ranger fights a fighter in just straight one-on-one combat melee, I'm giving it to the fighter.
Yeah, because Trailblazers are just like, not all who wander are lost. And
Okay,
the
Aragorn.
Warriors are like, fuck you, and then they want to stab them all.
Yeah, you
Okay,
didn't hit
another
me.
like canon fight here. 5 Grizzlies versus 5 Bucks.
I'm going to give it to the Grizzlies. They'll have a hard time catching up to them because they're not as fast. But in a
You know,
basketball court, like, there's only so many places you can hide.
yeah, I think Grizzlies win. I think like they might take some damage. It won't be like a clean win. I think
Oh,
the
sure.
Bucks
Look at
can
these
like,
antlers.
yeah, they're definitely going to do that. One of them they might even be able to kill one of the Grizzlies. I think if
If
they
they
like
if
are
they work together.
strategic.
Also, we should
Yeah,
remember that Grizzlies don't really get along with other Grizzlies that well, but Bucks don't get along with other Bucks. So I don't
that's
see a lot of
true.
teamwork. The Bucks might be too busy wrestling each other.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And then we're gonna jump back. Rockets versus Wizards.
Magic
Science
versus
versus
technology.
Magic. Yeah, Magic versus technology. It's got to be Wizards, right?
Um, I mean, it depends on the assumptions of our world. Like, how good are the wizards at like what can magic do?
Well, I mean, I feel like if you're a good, powerful wizard, you could just turn a rocket into like a hot dog or
If
something.
you're a
Like I'm thinking
really
like,
powerful wizard, okay.
yeah, I'm
All
thinking
right, I'll give you
Gandalf. Like
that.
I'm just thinking terms of like Gandalf,
Well,
like
Gandalf
5 Gandalf.
rarely does he actually cast a spell.
Yeah, but still, like 5 Gandalfs versus 5 like human-made rockets. I think the Gandalfs win, right?
Yeah,
Or am I wrong?
five Gandalfs. Don't you mean like Gandalf and Saruman and Radagast and the other two guys?
Sure, but I don't know. You get my point, right? Like 5 people with the abilities of Gandalf
Yeah, okay, all right.
versus, right? Like, I could be completely wrong. I don't know my Lord of the Rings. I'm just saying, like,
I never
uh,
read the Silmarillion. I can't remember the names of the other two guys, but
yeah, I'm gonna say Wizards. I would say
yeah,
Wizards.
all right.
Next
Pacers
we have
versus
5
Suns.
racehorses or 5 sons
Yeah,
in a
I'm sorry.
basketball. There's not even gonna be a fight. The horses just
Five
evaporate.
Suns inside of basketball
Yeah,
arena,
the
stadium,
yeah the
court.
density
That's the one I
of
want.
that,
Court.
the density of the 5 sons.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh
Okay.
god. Okay, 5 Raptors or 5 Nuggets. So these are things that you could dig up, like as an archaeologist.
Yeah,
Five
it's
gold nuggets.
clearly. Oh well, a paleontologist would dig up the raptors, but I assume that Denver Nuggets refers to gold nuggets, not chicken nuggets,
Correct.
which is what raptors' distant relatives would eventually become.
That's true. Yeah, I think the
But
Raptors would win in the sense that,
they're
they
alive.
are.
Well, they're not alive. They're dead, but they were alive once, and gold is not.
Well, here's my question. What would be more like obviously Raptors win, but what would be more valuable to discover in your backyard? Like a raptor skeleton, like a fossil, or a gold nugget?
I don't know. It would depend on the completeness and quality of preservation on
Like a
the
like a
raptor
complete
fossil.
a complete raptor. One complete raptor fossil versus one gold nugget.
How big a nugget?
Like your fist, I guess.
I'm inclined to say the raptor, but I honestly don't know, and a lot of it would depend on your haggling ability.
That's a good point. You take the raptor to like the
Now, if
market.
that raptor isn't a fossil at all, but if he's alive, I know which one is more valuable.
That's true. Yes. Okay, back
All
to the
right.
top left.
Bulls versus
Five.
Heat. I
Then I
think the
think the
Bulls.
Bulls. Yeah, they could withstand the heat from the machinery enough to
And
knock them
smash
over.
into them.
Yeah,
They
I
might
think
get a
the
little
Bulls.
scorched, but like,
Yeah, I think overall they come out
you know how
top.
they can charge. They'll just smash right through it.
So then we have 5 Celtics versus 5 Warriors. Just vague Warriors of no specific
Versus
background.
five
Irishmen.
tough. It's going to go to the Warriors, right?
Yeah, I guess if they're like trained for fighting.
Because, like, look at this guy. He doesn't look like.
Yeah,
He looks like he could probably box a little bit, but
yeah, he could put like a mail bomb or something. But against like, you know, his guerrilla tactic
yeah.
methods will not work in a basketball court.
Against five
Um,
generic Warriors, yeah.
yeah. So 5 Grizzlies versus 5 Suns.
No contest, I think.
Yeah, the Suns burned the shit out of the.
Yeah,
The
like the
Grizzlies.
Bears have put up a good fight up to this point, but like, come on.
Yeah,
I think the Phoenix Suns, like I said, they're gonna sweep this.
yeah, and then 5 Wizards versus 5 Raptors. Again, I think the Wizards 5 Gandalfs. will defeat the Raptors pretty easily, right?
I'm gonna go to D&D, where like a Deinonychus has a challenge rating of I think like 3 or so, depending on the edition of the game. So if it's a high level like Gandalf level wizard, like yeah,
Yeah. And then we're gonna go here. So again, 5 bulls versus 5 suns. Again, pretty easy.
isn't this a thing in the Odyssey when like Odysseus's men find the cattle of the sun god and they kill
Ooh.
a bunch of them because they're hungry and they haven't had beef in a really long time, and then the sun god, I guess that's Helios, gets really mad and incinerates most of Odysseus's crew. So like Odysseus's crew can beat some cows, but they can't beat the sun.
Yes, and even in that story, the suns own the bulls.
Yes,
So
and
the
also
bulls are the sun's
this,
property.
have you ever eaten beef?
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten the sun?
Well, I've eaten things. I've eaten the energy from the sun.
Indirectly, sure. I guess directly, just you get vitamin D and whatnot. But
That's true. But I didn't slaughter a sun in order to
yeah,
consume its
the
calories.
sun is still going.
Yeah, that's true. And wizards versus warriors.
Now,
I think
in like a Conan the Barbarian kind of story, a warrior will probably beat a wizard. But in D&D, like at higher levels, at low levels, that is true. But at higher levels, wizards are get access to a lot of abilities. They have a much more quadratic rate of growth, geometric rate of growth, and wizards can do things that warriors can't. So I think wizards.
yes. And now we've made it to the finals. This is going to be one of the most epic finals that we've talked. This is like Spurs versus Thunder. This is like the two most powerful ones, Wizards versus Suns. Now,
In real life, I don't think either are particularly good teams, but
yeah, that's true. Wizards versus Suns in the NBA Finals as overpowered. They're the top of their respective conferences. But I do want to say this before we move forward. I think the winner of this fight depends on the parameters of the fight.
go on.
For example, are the Wizards allowed to have prep time, or are they just dropped into the court with 5 suns in 1 second, and then at the blow of a whistle, like they're teleported into a court? You know what I mean? Like, are they able to prepare
I
for
think
their
they
fight
are,
against the 5 suns?
because
They are.
basketball players get time to prepare.
Right, so they could theoretically put on like cast a spell to like protect themselves from the heat.
I don't know
Of
if
the
there's
sun.
any heat protection spell powerful enough to protect you from being in the same room as the sun.
As 5 suns.
5 suns. And the sun's like, that's a pretty consistent AoE. Wizards are, they can do some pretty cool things, but they're still kind of squishy.
That's true.
And with
yeah,
the
like
constant,
Gandalf,
per turn damage of 1 sun, never mind 5, plus I got to assume that that's doing fire damage, that's doing radiant damage, that's at really absurdly high levels. I don't think the Wizards have a chance.
interesting, because because like when I was going into this, I was going to give it to the Wizards because I thought the Wizards were going to have some sort of thing like, oh, I'm going to turn the sun to snow or something like that.
I don't think
But
there's any
you know more
wizard
about-
powerful
you know more
enough
about-
to do that.
Yeah, but you know more about like wizard lore than I do. So yeah, if you think ultimately the Suns are going to sweep and they're going to run away with this,
Because a wizard is a guy who can tap into cosmic power, right? He can cast spells. He can do some
Or-
pretty amazing things. Gandalf,
Or-
like Tolkien type wizards, aren't even guys. They're more like angelic beings.
yeah, I was going to say.
But
Even Gandalf is vulnerable. Like you could like kill Gandalf with like physical attacks
You
if you
could.
sneak up on him, right?
Gandalf does not like one-shot the entire army of Mordor. He doesn't just like walk in and kill everybody. If you were to put the sun in Mordor, the whole planet would be destroyed.
That's true. Yeah, I guess if you took Gandalf and was like, hey, you have to destroy the sun, I don't think Gandalf would be able to do that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think the Suns take this.
Yeah. Since the
I
dawn
think
of
that-
time, man has yearned to destroy the sun.
What's that from?
Now, 5 Monty
yeah.
Burnses versus 5
Right.
Suns.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I think ladies and gentlemen, the 2026 NBA champions, the Phoenix Suns defeats the Washington Wizards in 4. Like they sweep the Wizards.
That's our prediction. Is
That's,
you heard it
that's our
here?
prediction.
This year the Suns are going to win. I don't know if they even made the playoffs. Does basketball
No, I
have
don't
playoffs?
think they did. I don't think they did. The Wizards were like last place.
Okay then. Well, that's okay because our parameters are not about how good the men named after these things are at basketball. They're about the things themselves after which the men are named.
Yes.
Okay, that was fun.
Oh, that was fun. This was really fun. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and yeah, go Spurs. And I
Check
guess
out my
okay,
YouTube
before-
channel at Mutant Museum. I'm doing the Summer of Lovecraft. We're reading H.P. Lovecraft stories until September. It's gonna be great.
Yes. Okay. Well, see you later.
Bye bye.